Hi, today I'm gonna go over the topics that you are going to be doing for IXL. The first topic in this video is going to be P1. We are going to be talking about functions and their parent function. So that's what the P stands for. It's a parent function. So remember, when we talk about parent functions, we have a function, let's name f of x, and it equals a times x minus h plus k. So remember, h is our horizontal change, and which is left or right. K is our vertical change, which is up or down. We also know A has several different meanings. A is our reflection, if it's a negative, and it also means that it's a stretch or compress. So we have a bunch of different topics here that we need to remember when we are looking at these examples. If we look at the first one here, this is the first circle here, which means it's usually the easier questions. And then as you go on through your scoring, your power score, the questions do get more difficult. So it says, what is a transformation from f of x to f of x? So it's basically just taking our f of x and we're going to change it. We look here, we have f of x plus 4. So if I look at that, my options say it's going to translate either 4 units left. So I'm either going left, I'm going 4 units down, I'm going to translate 4 units up, or I'm going to translate 4 units to the right. So we have to remember the difference. We know here left and right, the first and the last one, talk about when we are changing x. So if I'm going to change x, we are going to be talking about h, because h is grouped with x up here at the formula. Now, if I look at this parent function here, it's f of x plus h. F of x, there's nothing inside here with my x. So that means it cannot be the first one or the last one. It cannot go left or right. On the outside, I'm going plus 4. And we know plus means positive. So then I know that it can't be going down because down means negative. So I have to be going up. So then that would be my answer for that example. The next example we see here says, what does the transformation from f of x mean when we go to 1/3 of x? So if we notice, our 1/3 is in front of x, all right? It is inside of the parentheses. So that means my x is going to be changing. So that means we're changing left and right, okay? If I look at this, I have 2 different versions here. I have horizontally and vertically. We know horizontal means we're going side to side, and vertically means we're going up and down. Now, since it's attached to x, we know x is left and right, therefore, it cannot be either of the examples that talk about vertical. Okay? Now, we need to figure out, okay, what does 1/3 mean? Does that mean I'm getting bigger or am I getting smaller? Since 1/3 is between 0 and 1, then I know that it's going to be shrinking. Okay? So anytime you see a fraction here that is less than 1, then it is going to be shrinking horizontally. So then that would be my answer. If my answer was, say, 3 to x, then I know that 3 is bigger than 1. So then that would be stretch. Okay? Now we have 2 more examples for this video for P1. We have that we are transformation, what is the transformation of f of x when it goes from f of x minus 10? We notice that there's a number grouped with my x. So if I look at my parent function, we have f of x equals a x minus h plus k. So we're talking about my h. Since h is grouped with x, h again means horizontal. So that means we're going either left or right. So if you look at it, you can kind of cancel out ones it can't be. It can't be down and it can't be up. Now, the formula itself is x minus h. So if I look at this here, I see that there's a 10. And the sign did not change. So that means that h equals 10. They said, oh, I'm going to plug in the number 10 into my formula. And if I plug 10 in here for h, then I have x minus 10. So that tells me x is positive. So since h is positive, then that means I'm going to be going right. All right, so the horizontal change is a little tricky. So remember, if my sign inside here is a negative, then that means we are going a positive direction because they plugged in a positive number. Now, if I say plugged in for h negative 4, then I can say, let's plug in. We have f of x equals x minus h. If I plug x minus negative 4, I have a double negative here. So then that tells me, oh no, I have a double negative. I know a negative times a negative changes to a positive. So that is why when you see a sign here behind x, you're going to think about, oh, it's the opposite value. So h has to be negative 4 since it's plus 4. All right. So those are the trickiest ones. You have to be extra careful. So it's important that you guys are taking notes when you guys look at these things so that you have a resource when you're doing IXL. The last one, we have does the transformation of f of x when it changes to 9 f of x. So 9 f of x. Remember, whenever there's a coefficient or a number attached to a variable or a function, then I have to remember that we're multiplying. So if I'm taking a random number, let's say the input of f is 1. If I'm taking 1 and I'm multiplying it by 9, then I know my answer is going to get a much bigger, which is 9. So that tells me every time I take an input and I multiply by 9, I am going to be stretching. So I know that I'm not shrinking because my answer went from 1 to 9. So it cannot be shrinking at all. So I'm going to throw those two out. We know that since this number is on the outside of f of x, it is going to be stretching on the x-axis, all right, off the x-axis. So that's going to be a vertical. So it's the opposite. So if I took this function, let's say it's like this, all right, it's going to go much bigger. So it's a vertical stretch, all right. So if there's a number on the outside, then it's a vertical stretch. If there's a number on the inside of the parentheses, then it's a horizontal stretch. And that is it for this video. I hope you learned and are able to do topic 1 for IXL much more fluently.